fighting, it's easier from outside the cage after weigh-ins. Before weigh-ins, I don't know. I don't know that being outside of the cage makes it, maybe. There's a lot of fried chicken. There's a lot of things to tempt you, which means it is time for Verbal Tap. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, of course, Raph Esparza. And you brought a friend again?
I don't know that he's a friend.
Well, you brought something. You brought someone that may or may not. Well, you know what? Forget him. How are you, Raph? How are you doing? How was your weekend?
Let's just talk for a long time and keep him on the air, but not address him. Because when we were doing the call to make sure the sound was working fine, he was very upset that he was not part of the conversation we had right before he was on the line.
It was a super interesting conversation. It was very important. And, I mean, he should be upset. It was about him in certain ways.
Sure.
Not in others. But now we can just keep messing with him.
Bring him on.
145 pounds of Keith.
Krirkoian yesterday had an amazing run over at ADCC Trials East Coast Edition, coming up second place, beasting through so much of the competition. We have so much to talk about, so why don't we just get straight to it. Keith, we're so proud of you. To begin, now, tell us what it felt like to be there, my man.
Well, first off, thank you for having me back. It felt good. I really think that that was one of the more stacked, I'd say, trials in a while or ever maybe. So just to even be there to watch was pretty bananas. It was a crazy day.
What are the nerves like going into your first match? Because I feel like after you win a couple, you start to see the prize. And here's a nice little spoiler for you. Kevin and I used to compete, never really against each other per se, but we were always involved when we were doing speech. And I think we would always have that kind of same expression where it's like, once you get past the first couple prelim rounds, you're like, oh, yeah, I can see that podium now.
Well, I don't know. There was never really a moment where, even after any of my wins, where I was like, okay, I think I got this now. I was kind of just like, all right, well, that was another win, which is, good because it's good to get wins at ADCC trials, but I never thought oh, there's one more until three more until the finals. It wasn't like that, it wasn't like
sure.
It wasn't like a 1 down, 6 to go type of deal. It was more so just all right, I'm glad that I got that done. Now I just got to focus on the next one. You know what I mean? So going into the first one was pretty interesting though, because it was I was one of the first matches of the day, I guess. I think they started with a few of the 77 kilo matches because there was a pretty big bracket, but then they went to us and to me, and I sort of just went into that match kind of thinking, well, I guess I'll test out the ADCC sort of rules a little bit, and then the dude just freaking just kind of rushed at me. I was like, oh god, I gotta end this quick. And so then I think I finished with the Dars pretty quick, but it was just cool to get that out of the way, because you know how it is, like you said, once you get a couple out of the way, it's just I don't know, it just you feel a little more comfortable,
Well, it's just it feels massive though, right? It just feels like, oh my god, how is anybody supposed to win this? There's 1 million people in this division.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I mean, going in, I had no obviously I wanted to do really well on podium, but I had no expectation of placing, you know what I mean? I just thought that this is that's the tournament you have to do to get experience and to really kind of figure out what the top guys are doing,
And I have 2 questions based off of that. One,
sure. Go ahead.
You are located on the West Coast, correct? That's where you reside?
Yes.
So
yes, I am.
How the hell does this work? How do you just walk into the East Coast trials? And is there, much like in the early 90s, is there an East Coast, West Coast grappler attitude battle? How do they feel with you on their turf?
Yeah, well, it was so weird, you know. We have sort of like khakis and bright colored t-shirts, and they wear leather jackets, slick back hair, white t-shirts underneath, and skinny jeans, and so it's totally different. That was a joke, by the way.
You were describing the plot of The Outsiders, if I'm correct. There's
I was
Greasers versus the Socs. I'm back.
Socs, yeah. Okay,
I read,
cool.
I read 3 books
no one
in
laughed
school.
At that. That was weird.
Well, we were working
Yeah.
on it. I was also just like, I thought for a second you were describing Danaher before he started shaving his head, so I wasn't sure where that was headed.
And to be perfectly honest, when people really fail at a joke on the show, I just have the next thing I was going to talk about ready to go at a moment's whim. So when I heard the joke didn't land, I was about to say, how does it feel like to be so prominently featured on Faux Grappling at this point now?
Not addressed it at all.
Before we get to that, can I be meaner?
Yeah, go for it, Kev.
Sure.
When you got to New York, you were like, I got to find Dylan Dennis's hair guy. I have to get that look.
Okay, all right.
Was
that took long enough?
I wasn't sure where you got that. If it was like a number 3.
Let's bring up a good question, Kev, because I was like, okay, first of all, the person who dyed your hair, she was great, and I'm glad she did it. However, from a competitive standpoint, you look like a lit match continuously throughout the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's I thought I was really popping on screen.
It's very funny because do you know how when you say something that you go, oh man, it'd be great, we should buy this at the store, and then you get those algorithm things that show you those products that you were making and you think Skynet is real?
Yeah, yes.
The minute you guys finished doing whatever you did, you and West, your hair, there was an article that found its way in the Facebook algorithm to me on Vice that says, bleaching your hair is the new thing to do for hipsters. And I go, I didn't need this article. And it was every white person who is a celebrity's face on the cover of this photo. And I go, well, add 2 more, but in the jiu-jitsu realm, and you've got that.
Yeah, pretty much. To explain why we did the hair thing, it was not my idea. It was Wes's. We were just sitting in, I think we were in Norm's or something. We were eating salad, mind you. But we were eating, and this is like a couple days before, I think a week before maybe. And he goes, "Hey man, do you want to dye your hair for the trials?" I go, "Yeah, sure." and then it just sort of snowballed from there. It was sort of like a wrestler tradition we used to do for like CIF and state. You would dye your hair just, I don't know why, to be honest, but you would.
You don't need a reason.
And Wes wanted to do it, and then I said, I don't even know the reason, to be honest. There's probably some folklore behind it, but I
believe the kids call this Minecrafting. It's where you look like one of the torches. So we've hit it. There's a lot of things to potential about. Did you have a say in the color?
I did not, but
awesome.
I think he might have said, "Do you want to bleach your hair?" So I assumed blonde.
Well, not all of your hair, just the top, just the.
Well, yeah. I didn't even know. I didn't know we were just doing the top until I got there, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm just doing the top," and I'm like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna look dumb like that," but okay. I didn't want to be left out, so
so instead of saying, "I think I look dumb," if we were to do that, I should stop. Where's an adult? I don't have to do this. You literally just go, bro, okay, fine.
Yeah, I give in to peer pressure pretty easy, so
wow.
Not too hard.
Well, I'll tell you what you don't give into, which is bad positions very easily. I want to go ahead and circle this back over to flow grappling. Okay. So you start the day off with a Darce, which I was very happy. When I see a Darce and your length with your arms and your pedigree from coming from, learning with Boogie and training there, and having seen you teach it as well, it is something that I'm always very keenly aware is in your arsenal. So that's got to be a great thing to start off with. Then you actually have a rematch with Damon Morgan who I believe. Hold on, where did you guys meet before? There's like a place.
I've actually, this is our first match. We've been in the same tournament a lot of times. We had been in like the same division or like on opposite sides of the bracket or something, but we'd never had a match. So this is our first actual time facing each other.
As I was saying, this was your first time meeting each other.
Oh,
and it was interesting because, Damon's, he's a black belt out in Utah. He's got a real funky game. He's also avid competitor as well. So when you have this match with him, it was solid. I was very happy to see you do your thing. But now you're 2 matches in, and this is where I start to look and get a little nervous because I realize whoever is going to advance from this match is going to basically take on our friend Luis, who's also 10th Planet family to you, or Jason Hayden.
Yeah, that was actually a match that I was really looking forward to, was going against Jason. Like going in, I was thinking he was one of the guys that I really wanted to face. He actually got second at the last East Coast trials, and I thought that'd be really fun. We have relatively similar games. He's a little stockier than I am, but style-wise, we match up pretty well, I think. And but Luis did really well against him. He kind of he played pretty smart. He stayed out of the footlock game for the sub-only portion, and then the latter 3 minutes of the 6-minute match is points. And so he got a takedown there, and then it really frustrated Jason. He was pretty upset, but Luis did a really great job, and and then that's who my next opponent was. And we had a pretty fun match.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I want to say though, on Luis's side, Luis has also competed at high levels on a world stage as well. So to Jason, I'm pretty sure it was maybe a little bit of a surprise. And we know Jason, we're like, this is where it gets really hectic for us. We like all of these people. Luis is a good guy. I like him. I like Jason. He's a big fan and friend of the show. And you're okay. So somewhere in there, we know that there's not really a bad answer, but that is essentially what's coming. And 10th Planet had a lot of guys coming in, especially in this division. You had yourself, Marvin, Ricky, Luis, and all of you guys in different scenarios could easily be people who advance to those later stage rounds.
Yeah, for sure. I think had Marvin won his match the same time I was going against Luis, so that it would have been him and I next, actually. So that was another thing, and there was a bunch of other 10th Planet guys. I think Ricky went against Gabe that same round, who was from 10th Planet Bethlehem. I think Ray might have gone against someone else. Yeah, so there was a lot of like just 10th Planet guys in there. It was pretty crazy.
And give us your insight in terms of who was your toughest fight of the day. You obviously fought and lost Ethan in the finals, who's a pretty tough fight every day. What about on the way?
Yeah. So right after winning against Luis, I went against a guy named Juni Ocasio. He's really good. He, I think he's best known for like, I think he was in Kasai. He won like the first like Kasai qualifier. He was in like the 170 tournament or something. He's really good. We had a good match. And I sort of like, we played like a footlock game. And he got me in honey hole. He got both legs, and I felt pretty comfortable. I didn't feel like super threatened. So I kind of just like played there for a little while. And then I countered, and I got like an outside heel hook. That was a tough match. It was relatively quick, but it was tough for sure. And then after that, I went against the guy who actually beat John Calistine, which was pretty crazy to me. I didn't think Calistine was going to lose that early. And
shots fired
it was,
to the Calistine camp. Things have gotten inflammatory. No, I'm with you. I was surprised he lost it.
I just, he was the 1 seed going in, and then I really thought he was going to make it all the way, or at least to the semis. And then he went against some like super stocky, strong wrestler guy. who had just beaten Ricky right before that. And they had a match, and then Kalstein couldn't really get anything off in the 6 minutes. And then they went to an overtime, and Kalstein kind of got taken down a few times. Didn't get the points, but he got taken down. And then that was enough to give the other guy the rest decision. So then I had him the next round, and he was I knew he was going to be patient, so I had to push the pace, and so I was just working for butterflies, trying to get under, trying to sweep him. Couldn't really sweep him at all. So it went, I think like 4 minutes or so, and then he got like position, and then I had to like invert the honey hole, and then I was kind of surprised. I caught him in like a pretty gnarly inside heel hook. He didn't really tap for a little bit, and I heard his foot kind of pop a few times, but then he ended up tapping, and then that sent me to the finals, which, like you said, was against Ethan. And
we'll come back to the finals in a second, but
go ahead.
I want to make sure that we don't bypass the quarterfinal, because you and Junie, when you guys were against each other, you were a little too comfortable in those positions for my own taste. And it's not like I don't, I trust you. I know there is a strategy to what you're doing. But there was a way in which your leg was extended that I just kept going, no, I don't want to see any part of this. And the look on your face was so confident in it that I couldn't help but think, all right, kid, this better fucking pay off. And to his credit, I think he was doing a series of very solid attacks within that realm. But I think it might have thrown him off just a little bit, where he looked at it too and goes, I'm supposed to go for that, aren't I? I think I won't. I'll show you, Keith Krirkoian. No heel hook for you here. So in that moment, I was freaking out a little bit. And then you were right. The very good read on, I believe his name is Guerrero. And this guy, I mean, he had a great tournament as well. So I was very pleased with him. And that you were very, very nicely saying the match between him and Kalstein. The tough part of that overtime between the two of them, in my opinion, was when he kept taking down John. John was doing a good job of never letting him establish and kept getting back up and getting back up. So he wasn't scoring the points per se, but he was the aggressor, which makes it very difficult to give Kalstein the decision win. So that was definitely very different. And I'm sure for you were thinking, okay, well, I could very much have John Kalstein going into that semifinal.
Yeah, for sure. Wes and I were watching right next to the mat, and I was telling him like, oh yeah, we got to watch out for this, and this from Kalstein. He goes, I don't know, man, you got to watch this other dude. He's doing pretty well so far. And so Wes was more so game planning on that dude, and I was more game planning for Kalstein. And then I was actually really impressed with Kalstein's wrestling. He wasn't getting too many sprawls off, but he was doing a really good job of like not letting him finish the takedown. He would just the guy Sal would just get on the legs, and then John would like hip out and frame on his neck, and then he would like come to a front headlock or something. It was pretty impressive. He had a really good showing in my opinion, I think.
It's very interesting to note individuals counter wrestling. Like if you know that wrestling isn't necessary, your background, you can make a pretty solid way of supplementing some of it, not all, but especially in this format, because here's the thing, the wrestling does get you a couple points. And I think this is where people found themselves a number of times yesterday, which is you might be down 3 points. Let's say you end up getting a takedown. You're still down. So you need that extra thing. So that's why in certain predicaments for some of these savages who you would think, oh man, aren't they going to go further? They found themselves down 3 points, and then you become like, I need a Hail Mary submission.
Exactly.
Kind of a scenario. Here's what I want to say, because the match between you and Ethan was, from our perspective, a lot of fun to watch. And I thought there was one thing in particular when he did get your back, and it was early on in the match, and that is a great position for him. How were you able to get out of that particular position? Because when I watch him with other people, that's a finishing position. Yeah.
Well, I was and I knew that he liked that back take from.
I already hate your
usually
answer to this. You're not giving me the details I need to escape here. I'm going to be sitting here like, Keith was like, I knew that was his game plan. And meanwhile, I'm getting choked the fuck out, Keith. How did you get out?
To be fair, though, Kevin, you know,
I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it for sure.
I know he's building to it. Great job here, Keith.
I'm going to be asleep, Raph. 30 seconds into this discussion. I need to know the details a lot quicker than some other people.
The one thing I will say in asking this question is that, Keith, you don't necessarily have to go detail by detail. You can give us the broad strokes, because there might be an element, Kevin, of Keith now thinking that he's got to do the West Coast trials, and now maybe seeing the possibility of himself go to ADCC. I don't know, maybe seeing the potential of an Ethan rematch or sometime in the future. I would, however, like to know, perhaps if not the exact technique to get out of it, what you were thinking and how you were able to remain calm when so many other people have not really found that out.
For sure. Yeah, I wouldn't even say I was calm. I was kind of panicking because he had gotten my back right after the points period had started. And so I really didn't want him to get hooks, but he did. And then I was like, I got to move just to like maybe try to turn my hips enough to where it didn't look like he got the back. Maybe he was like more on my side and they wouldn't give him points. I could end up spinning into guard or something. But I wasn't quick enough. He got my back. He held it for a long time. I fought honestly, I've never fought that hard to like get out of someone's back control before. And that's like saying a lot, because like I've done a lot of EBI overtimes and I fight pretty hard to get out of there, but like, man, his was just like, it was really tight. And, I just kept swiveling and hiding my chin, not by tucking it necessarily, but by like turning, like rotating, my head as I was turning my chin so that it made his, like grip awkward. Like if he were to get a choke, it would make his grip awkward in relation to his like body lock, if that makes sense. It's kind of a weird way to explain that, but yeah. So I don't know. That was just really frustrating. And then I was like down 3, and then I spun into guard, I think, and I was like hopeful that would give me 2. I knew it wouldn't, but I was like maybe they'll call that a sweep or something. And then I was like, nah, I knew that wouldn't happen. So then I had to pass, but it was like super short time left. So I tried to pass real quick, but then I was like, I'm going to just go for the finish. And so then I sat back for legs and he came on top. And, so anyways, it was a really tough match. I'm really glad that I had it, because it was a really good experience. He's like probably one of the best dudes I've ever gone against. And I felt like I didn't get like killed. I mean, it was definitely discouraging. Cause,
no, you got killed. You just got just brutally beat up. No, I'm kidding. I'm just giving you some grief.
Well, Keith, maybe you don't know how to read. Maybe you're not fluent in Gordon speak. But when Gordon puts up a post and goes, "This young man," in reference to Ethan, "this young man submitted everybody until the finals," which is Gordon's way of finding the positive in, well, I want to say he submitted everybody, but there's this one idiot kid from 10th Planet who got out.
A West Coaster, of all people.
Is about as close to a compliment as you'll probably get from somebody who's not team affiliated, because I would say when you did spin out into guard, it definitely let us know that, okay, it might be a tough journey to get those 3 back again. But at the very least, like, fuck, that's hard. And more importantly, now we're just at that gritty heart element of what is competition. You know, a lot of people would buckle under that pressure. So you had a great match with him. I was very, very pleased to see you. If you were going to lose on a terms that you got to show what you were super good at. So I was very pleased that you were able to get a whole bunch of love in a way that you'd been working very hard in making the case at a number of different tournaments around the U.S. And for me personally, it was very nice to see you put up a post today that acknowledged yourself and how good it was, because a lot of athletes won't do that. They'll see second place and they'll quote some nonsense from Ricky Bobby, and they don't understand that it's a parody. But they take it as a real thing, and they're like, if you're not first, you're last. And it's like, that's a movie that's making fun of you idiots who quote that. So
it's also not how ADCC works. People get injured. People start fighting MMA. If you're not first and you're second, you're going to be one of the first people they call. And that's a great thing. And Keith, had you tried that back escape before? Had you done that in practice and drilling?
Yeah. Oh, of course. That's something I've sort of
I'm going to lead you here.
For a long time.
I'm going to lead the witness. So you might say it was a proven strategy of winning?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yes. You could say that.
Well, I want to take a second to say if
no,
Kev,
he has to do it.
Oh, well, I don't think he's going to. I want to get it out of the way, and then I was going to let him try the north-south.
But he said last week he would be ready to do. Did you take any time to prepare to do the drop-in for our sponsor, our collected sponsor, Keith?
No, I did not. I totally forgot about that until just now. But I could do it. I think I could do it.
All right, we'll see you do it.
Awesome. This is sponsored by Proven Nutrition. It's not endorsed by them. Let's just be clear. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah. Proven Nutrition, the company that is run by the healthiest people in the world and gives products to some of the not healthiest people like myself, but gets them on the path towards healthiness. Proven Nutrition.
Hey,
that was pretty good, right?
That was good. Yeah. Well, you didn't name the products or anything, but frustrated with the crowd of low quality, bad tasting, artificially flavored products. Me too. Go to something proven, natural, $49.99. All you have to hit, and it's free shipping. ProvenNutrition.com. Try the core drink. It's why Keith actually succeeded this weekend and has nothing to do with his hair choices. But hopefully Vidal Sassoon's listening and is prepared to sponsor us for the next one. I don't know who you used. What is under your gi? It's a question that in 2018 gets you in a little trouble. In this regard, I mean, are you armoring up like Batman? NorthSouthJujitsu.com, you have to ask, how are you treating everything that's keeping you really safe and protected? No one wants to show some crack during, and this, they have grips, A4s, A3s, NorthSouthJujitsu.com. I swear by it. It's real.
Kev, can I reveal two things here real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vidal Sassoon is on the line, and they're prepared to give us a bleach. They're calling it Keith Fresh.
Number one, Keith definitely did that cold read as if he was doing a book report, but didn't read the book.
Proven Nutrition is it's nutrition. It's proven. It's healthy. You know,
a book about this giant dick. Okay, and there's a DJ named Moby, and it's about heart and adversity. Moby Dick. So that's number one. The second thing I want to point out here, though, Kevin, is there were a number of people going ADCC style, a.k.a. Sans Rash Guard.
Yeah, I saw a photo of some other champs. Yeah.
I want to bring attention to one gentleman who,
oh God,
if we're being very honest, Kevin, was wearing kind of basketball shorts, and he looked like he was about $3 bills. Okay.
Ooh. Okay.
So he was in the big boy division, and he was going up against this dude who I think is one of Jay's Regal Budo's people, right? Keith?
Yeah, Nick Rodriguez. Yeah.
How would you describe Nick's physique?
I would say chiseled and smooth and muscular and handsome. Sorry, not the handsome part.
It's getting a little weird. Once you said smooth, I was like, I don't know that we needed all of that, but sure. But this guy is like really cut. Like he looks like the ADCC knockoff version of The Rock. And I said, oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, whatever. And then the dude he's going against is going to be the 300 plus guy in, I think, the semi or the quarters. And the dude who is 300 plus looks at the other dude with his shirt off and goes, fuck it. Takes off his shirt. And I was like, this guy is a legend. I have so much appreciation for this guy looking over at the Chilson dude and being like, oh, fuck off, dude. I can do this too. The one thing that made me a little concerned about the whole situation, Kev, though, was because he was wearing basketball shorts. I said, oh, no, please don't let us see crack. Like, this is ADCC style gone wrong, everybody. This is where you need the north-south jiu-jitsu underwear. This is where compression underwear is very important, people.
It grips your hips. It's magic. It's really magic. Yeah.
So I was a little nervous about that. But I will say to that gentleman, I don't really know you, and I'm very sorry. I hope you don't feel that we're totally making fun of you. But for a split second, I was like, could we get him some board shorts? Because let's not have an accident here, people.
Are board shorts on the agenda? And basketball shorts in general always have those giant pockets. They're a little flashier. It doesn't work as well. I assume he didn't have pockets. I do want to.
Can't say for sure. Go ahead, Kev.
I do want to ask you to talk to me. So I was clipping in and out. I watched our friend Nick Chewy Albin just do some destruction. At one point, I messaged Raph. I was like, Albin on mat too. Match is over. never. Unfortunately, Raph was already watching. But you got to be quick with our friends. Who did you two see? Keith, I'll give you the first chance, and I'm even going to talk for another 10 seconds while you sort this out in your brain. Who impressed you outside of your 145-pound featherweight division?
I think that PJ had a really great day. I think it was worth noting because he went against really tough guys, like exclusively tough guys. His first match was against a guy from Detroit Jiu-Jitsu who I know is pretty tough. He kind of armbarred him pretty quick. His second match was against a guy who Pete Shoemaker, who had gone second at the trials a few years back, and he heel hooked Pete pretty quick. And then this third guy, I don't even know who he was, but he was really tough. And I heard that he was like a really good wrestler. And I heard some people in the back saying like, "Oh yeah, this guy's going against PJ next. It'll be like a sick wrestling match." And then it was a really, really good match. I mean, PJ controlled it. I think he won either 2-0, 4-0 or something. But it was a really good match. And then in the quarters, right before PJ had to pull out because he hurt his knee, he went against a really tough dude who he had gone against at the on Invitational in the finals, and they had a really, really good match then. And this one was also really good. It went to the full distance, and PJ he ended up winning 4-0 from because he mounted the kid. It was William Tackett. He's really good. And but then PJ had to pull out right before the semis because of his knee. So, but I still feel like it was worth noting because it was a really impressive run, and I feel like if nothing else, that'll get him a top seed at the West Coast trials for sure.
I just want to make sure that people know. Yes, PJ did great. Also, had no clue why he was out. I was not listening to the commentary, first of all, so no. But it was the same vein of like, why is Nikki not competing? And then we later find out that Nikki has his ankle busted. So, okay, cool. Then all of a sudden I just see PJ, and on the website for Flow, I didn't know the accuracy of it, but on there they said, ref's decision, PJ loses. And I go, I've been watching all these goddamn fucking matches. How did I miss that? There's no way I missed that. And I kept saying, where was that ref's decision? Where was that? And I couldn't figure it out, and it was making me mad. And then to couple that with when I saw that Keith, I think it was you and Luis, and I think even later with, was it with Junie or whatever, but for whatever reason, it put you as not advancing. And I was like, I know for sure the kid advanced.
Oh, yeah, that was weird. Yeah, I'm looking at so when you said that, I had to go check that, and it does say that Tackett beat PJ. That's super weird. I'm going to email them.
There was a weird one with Hunter Colvin we'll get to as well. But you see.
Oh yeah, for sure, talk about that. But yeah, and then also with me, they switched my name with Luis's, I think, and so I had to go talk to the Flow guys about that. And but it was cool. That Mo Jassim guy, he was really nice. He was really cool about it, and he got it fixed.
No, and
that's
great.
That was weird.
I had a mini heart attack, and I thought there was some sort of weird secret bet that you and Luis made, where it was just like you played rock paper scissors, and you're like, "No, I lost my ability to go. God damn it!" So yeah, I was a little concerned about that. No, but I want you to name other people other than PJ who are the people that you look up to, because I'm not going to say don't mention other 10th Planet people. But can you name some other people that you saw there other than the people who you adore and put googly eyes on every one of your Instagram posts to?
And who are already
well, fine.
recognized?
Okay, fine. Someone who I was really impressed with, who you just mentioned, was Hunter Colvin. He had a really, really good day.
He's good. He's good.
I think he must have won 3 matches. He was kind of like, he was in the 88s, which was like a little bit after mine. So I was like, kind of up in the stands, like refueling or resting or whatever. So I didn't get to see exactly all of his matches. I think he had like 3 matches before his 4th one against Dan Martinez in the semis. And I thought, I watched pretty much the whole match, I think. And from what I saw, it looked like he should have won. But then they gave the decision to Dan Martinez. It was really weird.
There was a points discrepancy, though, because Hunter Colvin, just from a watching perspective, and Raph, this is what I was referencing when I was like, what the F? I don't understand how he lost. He gets a clear takedown. He works his ass off for it. He gets the takedown. Everyone's like, oh, there's the match. Then nope, they don't care. That part I don't get.
Yeah.
Can you do that at ADCC? Is it a decision even over points?
I don't know. It was weird for sure.
I'm just imagining Lovato getting a takedown and then them raising like the other guy's hand when he's up 2-0. It's like, you're getting kicked. You're getting kicked right in the face. It's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
I got pissed on that one.
Keith, what was your note on that?
No, sorry. Yeah, it was just really weird to watch Hunter that match in particular, because we were watching it from the stands and I couldn't see the scoreboard, so I don't know what the point situation was, but it looked like it was maybe 0-0, and he was just controlling the entire time. Like, it looked like he had gone some probably should have been takedowns, but ADCC scores takedowns really weird, so you have to like clearly control them for 3 seconds before they give you points. But even still, I thought, well, okay, he didn't get the takedown maybe, but he should have got the ref's decision, and they gave it to Dan Martinez. Pretty weird, but whatever.
I'd like to point it out. Also, I think Dan Martinez flashed his Bambi-looking eyes at them, because he's one of the competitors who I'm like, are you wearing mascara? Because it looks like it. It's interesting to note that, and I don't know how you feel about this, Keith, but as a avid watcher of all of these things, I get a lot of anxiety when I don't see the refs give the points at moments I thought they should give the points. And it's not to say that they don't give them, but I felt like sometimes it would be 40 seconds before I'd see points, and I go, what the fuck? If I was that person and I didn't see points after 10 seconds, I would tell the person, hey, do you mind if I take a second here real quick? I need to go talk to the ref. Excuse me, motherfucker. Where are my points? I worked very hard for that, and it's very likely I'm not going to get those again. So please put some points on the I'm disqualified? Okay, well, I made my stand. That's fair.
That's my bad for showing you up. I get it.
I did miss that part. My bad. That one's on me. Everybody has some blame in this. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you who else I was impressed by. I thought Zatava, obviously, who ends up with very solid result on his own right. Ekbari, I thought, had a very solid game, because it does play a little bit into the MMA guys' wheelhouse when they look over and they go, wait, I can just get a takedown and then just kind of do my thing, be stumpy. Dope. So I was actually hoping that we would get to see Barch and Akbari, because we were teased with the ability for PJ to have a blonde off with him and Uriah. And then I was like, man, that would have been fun too.
Did PJ get pissed about your hair, Keith? Was he like, get off my corner?
Like you wouldn't believe. He was so mad. He wouldn't talk to me when I first got there. It was crazy. I was like, what the heck? If anything, I look like you, but I didn't actually say that. But
that's when you come on a little too strong, when you're like, I'm trying to be like you. And he's like, oh my God, I've got a jiu-jitsu stalker.
Oh, he already knows I'm his jiu-jitsu stalker. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Raph,
I'm trying to
you
think
have
of who
some
else.
honorable
Yeah, go ahead,
mentions?
Yeah, I'm just sifting through. Jimenez, Roberto Jimenez, this kid, him and the Rotolo twins. There was a moment where I think because I broadcasted for 8 hours yesterday on the Grappling Hour, and I was giving my observation as things were going on in live time. And I think I mentioned your name in it, Keith, so I don't know if you'll ever go back and watch. There's really no reason, but in the event that you ever see a clip of me being made going off on a rant, just espousing how much I hate you kids. Because I go, these fucking young kids. Jimenez is all of, 18 or 19? The Rotolo
18.
twins are, 15, 16 years old?
15.
Are they 18?
No, 15. 15.
Thank you. Okay.
Crazy.
Seeing these guys create major problems and disrupt part of the whole brackets is concerning for a number of reasons. So I definitely am scared of what the future holds in for them. I know you mentioned Dan Martinez is maybe not advancing or should have advanced. I thought for the most part, I'd like watching him compete. I might like watching him compete a little bit more in EBI, but he's always somebody who I enjoy. And I'm trying to think of the guys. Like, I have to make a note. That one kid from Jay's who's been competing that we talked about, the rock-looking dude, he was only competing or at least training for 6 months, kid.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wait, they let 15-year-olds do this? Sorry, sidebar. Yeah. What?
Oh,
I thought you had to be able to drive to submit Keith's blonde ass. Is that not the case?
He got a learner's permit. Kev, let me break down for you what's really worse about the whole situation.
Rural grapplers can get a farmer's permit, but you have to live on 10 acres and you can compete at
Kev,
14.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and Keith, close your ears or avert your eyes or whatever you want to do. Kev, this is just to you. One of the Rotolo twins got toe held so hard he couldn't walk off the mats. Ooh. And to be fair, when you are in competition, you're just supposed to kill the kid. However, there was a moment when I was watching it. I go, he's just a child. Leave him alone. Who cares if his clean passing is a problem for you? You don't toe hold him like that. And it was to the point where Gordon, in an actual compliment, said that he was very impressed by the Rotolo twins. And in a non-douchebag moment, Gordon went to go help him off the mats. And I know a lot of people were giving him credit, but when you're as strong as Gordon is, and you like to brag about how much you're lifting, helping someone who weighs about $140 isn't highly impressive to me, but it is something that we should note is something out of the ordinary of him giving bullshit to people on Instagram. So it was a moment of note that I think we should pass on.
And frankly, if he doesn't Ron Swanson pick him up and curl him, I'm not impressed, Gordon. It's like, show us you can clean and jerk one of the Frivolo twins, and then I'm in. But until then...
Yeah, I mean, Tim Spriggs had a great day.
Gordon's apathetic face, by the way. Okay, Tim Spriggs, I asked you about this off air. He has to go through trials. Can you or Keith explain that to me? I thought he was more of an auto bid.
Yeah, I saw him there, and I was a little. I guess I was a little surprised, but not like super surprised because he didn't place at the last ADCC. I think he got to the second round against Lovato or something, right? or something like that. I forget who it was, but anyways, yeah. But it did not, like, he had a great day. It looked kind of like not really competitive the whole day for him. Like, he was much better than everyone in his division.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys who you can tell his game is particularly made for ADCC. So
yeah,
it is. It's a tall order for anybody in there, and I mean, Aaron Tex Johnson looked really dominant. He had a really solid day as well. So, props to him. I don't know. I mean, I might be talking to some of these people on Grappling Hour this week. I'm not going to get into that. That's neither here nor there. We have
wait, who?
Hey, teaser for the Grappling Hour, and you can find the Grappling Hour, Raf's coverage. There's no one that covers more corners of the grappling game than Raf, as far as to find the Grappling Hour on everything, basically. If there's a social media, Cyberdust, Facebook, Instagram, it's on all of them.
I'm going to start a Pinterest too. That's what we're going to do.
The Grappling Hour Pinterest. Guys. If you want to figure out how to create octagons out of doilies and reused clothing, Raf has a Tuesday night feed you're not going to want to miss.
There's nothing better than when I see like other girls go or women go to my wife and go, "Oh, it's on my Pinterest. I'll send you a link." And I'm always like, I have no idea what you just said. I know Pinterest is a thing, but I don't know how to use it, and I don't want to know. Gentlemen, I think it is time for us to transition. Unless, Keith, you have any more observations from ADCC that you'd like to tell us. You have anything juicy behind the scenes? Anything that you can reveal to us? Because the whole reason we put you on this week was so that you could tell us all the shit that's going on behind the scenes. We didn't know that you were going to, go out there and win a whole bunch to the point where you couldn't concentrate on giving us the exclusive and being a great reporter. No, you had to be a good athlete. So tell us the juice that you got from
I got some juice for you. So there was one point right after I had gotten done with one of my matches, and I think it was the semis, it was the quarters maybe, and PJ's warming up for his quarterfinal matchup, and one of the Rotolo boys comes over to him and he goes, "Hey bro, let's do this." And PJ goes, "Hell yeah, man, let's win this together." And then I looked at PJ. I was like 3 feet behind him, and I looked at him, and I couldn't believe that he had just replaced me as his little buddy that easily. He found some other young grappler boy, and he said, "Oh yeah, this guy, he seems more talented than Keith. I'm gonna make him my new best little buddy." And so that's pretty juicy, right?
I'm sorry. Is hiring Keith as our sideline reporter? We just got a little bit more deep into he and PJ's relationship. That was not what I was expecting, but I was more looking for like Ethan Credlinson definitely injected Gordon before the finals, which was weird. But he's got to keep his steroid regimen up. I was looking for something like that. But this was cute.
Kev, could you do me a solid? Could you, as a real host of this show, address the phraseology of Grappler Boy in a way that I think informs Keith of what he is stating when he says that his hero is referring to him as a Grappler Boy?
These are grappling men, Keith, and or grappling humans. I don't know that we need to subscribe gender in this day and age. I think we can all just be adults. Whatever your East Coast, West Coast naivete is, let's just keep it. Let's keep it PC.
Keith, you just turned 21. If you can have a beer, I don't think we get to call you a grappler boy.
No, you're a grappling adolescent now. I don't know. Yeah. It's whatever. Grappling adult.
There is a particular reason. Go ahead.
Sorry. Do you want to know what I did to get back at PJ?
I mean, you've already brought this on the show, so yeah, go ahead.
I go over to PJ's future fight to win opponent at the next fight to win, Dustin Akbari, and he asked me, "Hey, could you help me warm up? Can you hand fight a little bit?" And normally I would be like, I don't know. I don't really have a match anytime soon, and you're one of my best buddies' future opponents. I probably shouldn't. But he had just gone up to the Rotolo kid, so I go, "Oh, yeah, sure." And so I warmed up with Dustin Akbari for a solid 10 minutes, and he gave me really good advice on wrestling stuff. And then I I told PJ, and he didn't.
And what did
he didn't,
PJ say?
How quickly after did you tell PJ?
He actually didn't really.
I don't mean to make you murder this.
Care.
Did you run over there? Like how? What was the time duration between?
Yeah.
Okay, Raph, I can see it now. He's sitting there. He gets rejected because PJ's all deep in Rotoloville. And he's like, well, what am I going to do? It's so hard. And that's when Akbar is like, hey, I could use nothing or you, and you'll work. You do that.
It was kind of like that, yeah.
Run to PJ, tap him on the shoulder, I assume. He's like, looks at you begrudgingly. It's like, I found a new partner. So there. And then they left. All right, Raph, I don't want to call to question your confidence of our sideline reporter, but this wasn't what you promised me on Inside Scoop.
To be 100% clear, I thought it would be better. I thought Keith always brings book reports. I don't either. And I feel really bad and stupid because when I was explaining the genius of booking you on the show about 2 months ago, I think I'm going to slot in the kid right at ADCC Trials. He's going to go himself. There's a big New York card. I think it's going to work out perfectly, but I won't ask him until a week before. And, I planned this out for a couple months, and I was like, I think I've made a pretty good choice here. And then you go, and competitively, it makes 100% sense because people go, oh, wait, Keith's on your show today? I was like, well, he's contractually obligated, so yeah, he's coming back on. But then when we say, well, give us the juice, and you go, Raph, I've got a scoop. Remember that person you asked me not to go ahead and give a lot of credit to because I'm too close to him and I have no journalistic integrity? Well, this guy basically went up to somebody and told him that, hey, like, it's cool. We're all competing. We should go represent San Diego, maybe the state of California as West Coasters, and saying,
I don't know
we
what it
represent
was
together?
But it was disturbing. Whatever was going on between those two, I wasn't happy about it.
I don't think that's what I think you read the most into something that was absolutely nothing. And then if you ever ask PJ about it, he'd be like, oh, yeah, I just said, cool, kid. Good to see you guys. And meanwhile, you're like, there was no worse thing you could have said to me.
Yeah, well, I guess that's we'll have to ask PJ.
So everybody just put your seatbelts on for ADCC West Coast because we've still got many more trials. And Keith will go to the one. Keith's going to show up in Brazil, I'm sure, for their ADCC trials, ready to take the title. I can't wait to see his purple hair at that one. I think that's 10th Planeter should have like an auditory. Just to give some finality to the 77 kilograms. And Keith, do you mind going and weighing yourself while I give some of these results? You were 145 pounds 2 days ago. Do we want to guess what he is right now?
Oh, yeah, because I've been seeing what he's been eating.
He said he ate his weight in pizza. We have that on the record. So, okay, Keith, go weigh yourself.
Okay.
John Satava wins the 77 kg. Not a huge surprise there. Had some Dustin Akbari. Alec Balding, champ of the 88 kilogram. Everyone knows the hardest one, along with Dan Martinez, though. Hunter Colvin still. There's some weirdness in that division. Tim Spriggs takes the 99 kgs because, he's got 99 problems, but losing ain't one in this particular tournament. And 99 plus or the Kevin division, if I were so. Wow, a lot of shirtless people in this one. Aaron Tex Johnson takes it with Hudson Taylor as the runner-up. There's some good talent in this pool. Keith, do you know your weight?
I do.
So you were 145. What are you? I love the way you said that.
Don't tell us, Kevin. What are you going in at?
I bet he's so Keith's not a huge person, but 145. I mean, there's a lot of muscle involved in this equation. I'm going to guess 166.
Ooh, I think that by Price is Right rules, you're going to go over. I'm going to go 155.
Oh boy, I don't really know how to tell you this, but I'm 160.1 right now.
Oh, yeah, my Price is Right rules, you do win, but damn. Yes.
Jeez, how fat are you? You gained 15 pounds in a day and a half?
16, because I weighed in at 144. So
That's a
16. I don't know. I'm pretty hungry right now, to be honest. So Wes and Art and I are about to go get Pizza Press after this. So I'm gonna be a lot more by the end of the night.
What is Pizza Press? For those of us not in
I don't know.
Southern California.
I don't know.
Terrible place to be at. All right. Well, I'm glad we can do this. So did you get to watch any of the fights yesterday? Did you get to watch any of the UFC 230 fights?
No. So Wes and I we went to go eat with PJ and Gio and all of them, and then we stuffed our face with pizza. We came back and we're like, all right, we're just gonna shower, charge our phones, and then we'll head out to a sports bar and we'll go watch them. We both fell asleep, and we didn't wake up till like after midnight. So then I had to watch all the fights today after the fact, but I did watch them.
All right, let's start from the beginning, and by the beginning I mean the last fight. Kev, why did we do this main event fight?
That's a question I've been trying to figure out for a few. I think we lost something, and this is what they replaced it with, right?
Well,
not exactly. Sorry.
Go ahead, Keith. You explain it.
No, sorry. It wasn't that we lost something, it's that we had an option that was not as good as this option. So we replaced the lesser option. The first one was Sijara Eubanks versus Valentina Shevchenko as the headliner.
That's right. Shevchenko got
Daniel Cormier. Yeah, Shevchenko. They postponed her fight with. It's kind of hard to explain. They made her fight Ioana Jędrzejczyk a month after this. But they're making her fight. Not making her. I'm doing a horrible job explaining this. They made Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Valentina Shevchenko a month later, and they made Daniel Cormier, Derek Lewis, the new headliner in place of Eubanks versus Shevchenko. It's kind of confusing, but that's basically what happened. Sorry,
you landed the plane, but nobody's going to ever talk about how you did it.
Yeah, I guess. I hope so. I hope so, because I should have let you explain that. That was horrible.
I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and take the wheel here, kid. So apparently we were expecting Poirier and Diaz as a possibility to be the headliner.
That's what I thought. Thank you. That was the one, right? That was, and then
Diaz. No, they did announce that, and that was supposed to be once they were talking about Cormier having a possibility against Derek Lewis, because a Star is Born kind of moment happened with Derek Lewis at a very, very big pay-per-view just 3.5 weeks ago, really, people.
It was seconds ago, wasn't it? It did feel like... It really was. And it wasn't a fight he crushed. Like, he barely won it after okay.
No. And whatever commission cleared him said, good enough. Like, yeah, why not? I mean, he was losing a lot of the fight, but let's put him in, because why not? What they were thinking was that last pay-per-view sold 2.4 million pay-per-views. If they could just get a fraction of that, and they will, why not put him at the top? Because that might sell more than Diaz and Poirier. And think to yourself, okay, well, put that together. Put that at the main, I guess, top of the card. As long as we've got Poirier and Diaz the next day, they're out. Shit. Meanwhile, Eubanks is so furious she gets kicked to the undercard. She misses weight. Now, I've never missed weight as a form of hating people. I'm not sure she did either, because she seemed very, very unapologetic about it. And was very angry, even though she assured us about a month ago she would never miss weight again. And with her 3-2 record, somehow didn't quite get the idea that maybe she should be not fighting for a title. But I digress. That's how we got the main event that we did. My question to you, Keith, is why did DC not fight Stipe Miocic in a rematch when he's only got several fights left? And right now it's only looking like one. And this fight in all of our heads looked embarrassingly easy for a guy trying to convince us he is in the conversation for greatest of all time.
Okay, so let's look at this from Cormier's perspective. He could either fight Stipe Miocic, who is on paper was the most accomplished heavyweight in UFC history. Very dangerous fight on 3 weeks' notice with a busted hand, or and by that, for probably just as many, if not less, pay-per-view points. For let's say more or less, the same amount of money, if not less, than if he had fought Derek Lewis, who was a significantly easier fight on paper and a personality. So probably going to sell a little bit more. Like you said, he was on that 2.4 million pay-per-view buy card, which obviously got a lot of eyes on him. He was kind of a breakout star that night. He could take the easy fight on 3 weeks' notice with that busted hand against a guy whose grappling is not that amazing, or he could fight Stipe and potentially lose. That fight wouldn't really. I mean, he had just knocked him out in the first round. If he does anything less than that in the rematch, then he kind of looks like a fool. So I think from his perspective, this was the fight that he should have taken. And I mean, he's still making his case as to why he's the greatest, one of the greatest of all time. I don't think this is the performance that does it, but if you look at his career as a whole, you could argue that. You
could, if you just listen to
only DC.
anybody but him, because I feel most people would probably at least look at his record and say, well, we've got to put him in here. We're in a weird modern era where everybody's got to go ahead and say, no, I'm greatest of all time. And I think it's because athletes tend to be so competitive, they end up becoming stupid argumentatively, whereas DC is so convinced that he's like, nah, I've got to be in the greatest conversation. It's like, well, you have two clear losses to a guy who was definitely questioned on steroids. And more importantly, if he has an asterisk, why don't you? So a good way to subvert that conversation, if you're the guy leading the charge on the conversation, is to go in and say, okay, well, cool, DC, I mean, Stipe did defend it the most. It would make sense to go in and fight him. Maybe you don't get as many pay-per-view sales, but last night he was telling us in the press conference, anytime he's been fighting, win or lose, he fills those seats. So at least your gate's going to be good. So I guess the weird part to me is, don't try and put the greatest of all time conversation yourself that you are leading if you are taking an easy payday that does nothing to help legacy, which is clearly what you're really bitching about when we get down to it. Because the last two fights on his record that is already amazing and undisputed and, beating all of these people in very clear fashion are going to be Derek Lewis and very likely Brock Lesnar, which are two fights that, although you can't look past, the fact that you have to put that with a condition, please don't look past this, is a concern.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, at least you rear naked choked him,
No. Yeah, at least he finished him, right?
I was just going to say, he didn't walk it to a 5-round decision. It was like, I'm going to hit you, then I'm going to take it.
Took the second round to do it. And that's still especially when you see that first round where Derek Lewis is like, whoa, this is wrestling. Oh, no. I thought, this is not a great fight. Fortunately, every part of the karma that I can eliminate from that gave me one great fight that I was very excited and happy to see, and that was Jacare and Chris Weidman. And that fight was about everything I could have wanted from that fight. Kevin, did you happen to see any part of that?
Well, kind of. I saw the highlights.
Okay.
Not live. I was about to interject with, I absolutely did, but I was like, that's way too much bravado for what you did. You Googled the highlights, so calm down, Kevin. Yeah, and I have to tell you, there was a moment where I read Cormier and Lewis's results, and then I read Weidman Souza, and I was like, oh, cool. Weidman got subbed, and Lewis got knocked out. I was like, no, wait. Got to go back over this again. Jacare, who is coming off a loss, which we were all terrified for, fighting someone he could have fought for the title a few years ago, wins pretty convincingly via TKO. And they also got fight of the night, not to just really add on, but that does. Hey, Keith predicted that part correctly, that they'd get fight of the night.
Yep,
So.
I noticed that.
Does this give Jacare a title shot? Are we title shotting now? What are we doing?
Depends on what happens in Whitaker, Gastelum, and then Romero, whoever he's fighting next. Probably
Everyone
Costa.
Take a deep breath and imagine if before Keith said all those names, did you know who was the champion of the 185-pound division? No one knows. I think it's GSP.
What?
No one knows.
No, people know.
No, they do not.
Right?
No,
they know Whitaker's the champ, right?
Who is? Do they know? When did he win
Whitaker?
the championship?
I don't. Okay, no, I'll believe you.
Kevin, did you not know Whitaker was the champ?
I knew he was champ adjacent. There's been a lot of interims. It's been hard to track who exactly. No, I honestly, if you had said who's the champion of the 185-pound division, I'd been like, it's not Yoel. It's not Bisping.
Yeah, I want to say Yoel.
I did honestly want to be like, Romero? Is it? It's not John Jones. So
here's what happens. This is how you know you're really in a place for a certain division. Is if you were to bring in a criminal and push them up against the wall and interrogate them and go, tell me right now who's the middleweight champion is. They're like, what? GSP? Was he it? They're like, no, he had to forfeit it because he doesn't like fighting and he's got supermono and he hates Dana White. What was it? Bobby Knuckles? I mean, here's the whole thing about Bobby Knuckles. He got injured, but he's kind of injured now, but he's not as much, but he did win it. Bisping? No. Oh, Kevin Gastelum? No, he's still on a mission for gold. Fool. Until that hashtag becomes irrelevant, because once he gets the gold, I hope that hashtag goes away. But I will say it is confusing. They were talking last night in the post presser that he does seem likely as the candidate to get it. That win over Weidman. Here's why I enjoyed it so much, because Weidman was winning the fight hands down. And it wasn't to say that Jacare wasn't in the fight. He just wasn't doing as much as Weidman on leading the strikes, pushing the action. I thought Jacare had some great countering moments, but I was concerned for him, and I was pulling for him. Now, mind you, I was very much in respect of what Chris Weidman was doing. He looked very comfortable, very loose. And then something happened. When they were saying that it was hard for Jacare to breathe, it looked very difficult for him to kind of storm down and continue doing what he does best. And this was all stand-up, Kevin. There was no real takedown. So when we got to the third round and they mentioned how hard it was for him to breathe with a broken nose, they're saying he's got to dig deep. And he really did. It was amazing. I was so in awe of what he did. And I was just happy because, you know, obviously Chris Weidman didn't win, but I thought he looked really sharp yesterday until he got knocked out. And I thought for Jacare, he was getting dominated and he came back in strong fashion. And that's that kind of performance that you look at and you go, man, you've never been a UFC champion, but if there was somebody I'd like to give a shot to right now, I'd love to see how you do. And I don't know how he fares against a Bobby Knuckles, but I would love to see it. If that happens.
When was the last time Bobby fought?
It was Yoel this past June, I believe.
June.
And that's where he injured his hand.
I think it was May.
All right. No, we're fine.
But yeah.
I don't remember when I fight either.
Oh God.
Yoel, we've talked about this.
I hear it too. Who am I talking to?
Damn it. This is Kevin and Keith. You know you got the cease and desist letter. We told you we don't want you to do this anymore. We felt uncomfortable after the last one.
I love you. I don't like him.
We love you. We don't like him either. Are you, if I had asked you, Yoel, who's the 185-pound champ, who would you have said?
Maybe.
No, not are you going to be. I'm saying if you had to say a name about who was going to be the person.
Oh, no, I don't know. I thought, is Keith, did he win?
No, Keith Krirkoian's definitely not the champion of the 185-pound division.
I don't know. You give him one more day, he might be that way.
All right.
He's got some time. He's got
Keith,
some
I
time.
have a question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
You one time said when I had to fulfill a bet that I am best in short doses.
I did say that.
Okay, well, I ask you this now. How come you spend 9 minutes talking about Piaget and yet I waste time on Verbal Tap podcast?
The people really care about PJ is the thing. They want to hear about him. Well, I don't know.
No, they care about me. They love me. They don't love you.
Okay. Well, all right.
Well, Verbal Tap fans.
I'm gonna
The one they always, Yoel Romero, swings by the podcast.
Yoel, please leave.
We sent him the letter. Verbal Tap Legal. I saw it. I signed off on it. It was like, I'm in on this. UFC 230. Before we reveal any more over-under business, do we have anything else to hash out here?
Keith, do you have any observations or notes? I have a couple that I'll go down in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, Shane Burgos versus Kurt Holobaugh. That was a sick fight. That was really cool. I mean, if Kevin, I don't know if you saw it, but Kurt Holobaugh, he dropped Shane Burgos, and then as soon as it hit the mat, Shane swiveled his hips and hit a pretty sick armbar.
Oh,
that was cool. And then Lando Venata, Matt Frivola was a really good fight. Didn't get fight of the night, which I mean, I was happy that Jacare and Weidman got fight of the night. But I'm sorry, yeah, Venata and Frivola was a draw, but even still, it was really, really awesome.
In your eyes, was that a draw?
I don't know. I don't really understand how you could score it a draw, necessarily, but I don't know. It was very back and forth, clearly, and it was competitive enough to where I could have seen it go for either guy. Yeah, I don't know. What about you? Did you score it a draw?
So I was eating a lot of sushi at the time, and I looked at it and I just go, this seems kind of silly, but I really wasn't bugged by it. I just kind of said, yeah, I mean, sure. And then I immediately, whenever I see Joe interviewed two people at one time, I go, this is weird. Yeah, that is always awkward. Yeah, it's weird because Venata, he had a draw against Bobby Green 2 fights ago. It was for under different circumstances. It was because he got deducted a point, but still. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways. So what else you got for us, Keith? It sounded like you have a list you're going up with. Yeah, and then Israel Adesanya and Derek Brunson. That was a really cool fight. That was just a really good performance from Adesanya. I thought he really set himself apart, and he kind of called it on, I think it was Helwani's show. He said, the way that I win this fight is gonna put me into a title shot. Because I think Helwani asked him something along the lines of, how soon do you see yourself fighting for a title? He said, I could easily fight for a title next, after the way that I beat, or the spectacular fashion I'm going to beat Brunson in. And he delivered. I mean, it was freaking phenomenal. That was, yeah, I thought that with the whole Jacare thing, he's kind of in limbo. Not in limbo, I guess, but like he's in a weird spot, and Yoel's in a weird spot. I think Adesanya could definitely slip in there if Whitaker wins. Maybe they could do an event in Australia or New Zealand or wherever, and it would be like a Aussie versus Kiwi type of thing. It would be cool. No, I don't think they're doing that. I think with Bobby I don't know. Knuckles, I don't know. They're looking to have an event in Australia, I think, next year for Bobby and well, that's Whitaker. Yeah, Whitaker and Kelvin are fighting in Australia. I'm saying if someone pulls out, or if Bobby wins, or if if Robert wins, then they could easily. I don't know. I'm just saying he did a good job of setting himself apart. He did. And did you have any notes for Jared?
Cannoneer. That was a surprise for sure. I thought Branch looked good leading into that second round. Not amazing, but that's kind of like Branch is more of a gritty type of dude. So, but Cannoneer, yeah, he's got power and he's coming down from heavyweight. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was a surprise for some of us. That's all. I mean.
Oh no, yeah, because I picked Branch. Yeah, I know.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I'll tell you, Kev, my highlight of this. I want two things to note before we reveal the winner. Mm-hmm. Number one, I feel like if an octagon is too bloody after a fight, I would like the opportunity to ask for another octagon.
You know how like Korean barbecue, when they'll give you a grill change because it gets too like burnt or whatever. What if they did that for the octagon and blood?
Thank you, Keith.
Can we get a canvas change, please?
My point, the best I've ever heard, explained on the show and used in terms that both myself and our audience clearly understand.
You can tell what gear Keith has shifted into, which is Fat Kid. It's like fifth gear, but it just says food. He's headed to like the Alibaba Grill. It's everything.
To be fair, Kev, there was a lot of him posting photos of other people's food going in the last week. And nothing made me happier than seeing that. So that was the case on the prelims card over on Fox Sports 1. But the second observation I want to make sure that we are on top of, which is we had Eubanks, who ended up with the decision over Roxy. And that doesn't matter to me. The fact that she missed weight after assuring us she would not miss weight, and the fact that the internet crowned her new Artem made me happy in a way. Now, Kev, I don't know how much you pay attention to the Artem memes, but Artem, who is Connor's friend, who is, I guess, the person who instigated everything by just being there and talking shit about Khabib and then getting slapped, Artem has been routinely mocked on the internet for a number of reasons. They sometimes say he has T-Rex arms. They sometimes mockingly refer to him as the GOAT because they say that he's I think like 13 or 14 and 13. So they say you've only got a 14 and 13 chance to beat the GOAT. Like, the jokes are amazing, but the internet decided very late on Friday that they would crown Eubanks as the new GOAT. And I said, oh no, these jokes are too good. I could not stop laughing at them. So the fact that she missed weight, and I'm 100% honest on this, it actually brought me out of the small depression I had Friday morning when I realized that UFC 230 wouldn't have Poirier and Diaz. And I go, man, I really would have liked to have seen that fight. But Eubanks missed weight, and now the internet is mocking her. You know, everything kind of works out in the end, everybody. That's always a little take.
Those are the rules.
You can't miss weight. Kev, do we have some news to tell the child?
Yeah, he got his ass kicked. He just straight up, candy corn is delicious. People need to just take a breath.
Hold on, I'm not allowing this. Keith, what do you mean that you know? Did you know your fate was sealed? Did you know that you lost this whole time?
Yeah, of course. I got killed.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Because is this your photographic memory, or did you actually like write down the pics?
No, I just remembered that we picked opposite. For the most part, all my picks lost and his won.
What was
even
that
though I felt like I had better analysis.
Oh no, Kevin! Something weird happened. We brought on somebody who knew all the fighters, and they lost to you by a really bad margin.
It's just an ass. Just a full on. God, I was going to call it an Ethan Krenlinson, but I wasn't trying to be too specific.
Okay.
I was just going to full on Ethan this.
Kev, I will say you've never rolled with Keith, and he knows where you're broken, and I would caution you. And you know what? If I'm really, really cautioning you on this, I'm also cautioning myself, because I'd like to distance myself from Kevin. I roll with Keith, and that means that the next person he's probably going to roll with is me.
That's
and if Keith
hope.
Is like trying to take out your shit on me, that's unfair in life.
I would agree with that, especially after watching him this weekend. That's poor pool by me.
Keith, can you tell us the exact moment you realized you lost and how you felt about it in over under Kevin?
Like, I don't know, like halfway up the card, as soon as the prelims ended, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna win this. 'Cause even if I got like one out of the or 4 out of the 5 picks, I don't think I still would have won. So, anyways, it is what it is. What you gonna do?
That's fine. Let's be very clear. And again, I want to know, because you're an athlete, which was worse, losing in the finals or losing to Kevin in over under Kevin?
This is tough. This is tough. I felt like I got to show more of my game, my skill set, if you will, in the finals yesterday than I did in over under Kevin. So I guess it's more embarrassing to lose to Kevin.
Well, let's make sure we put that in a clip show sometime in the future. I want to make sure that you understand. I mean, Keith, there are going to be plenty more ADCCs in your lifetime because you're all of 21. So you have opportunities to avenge yourself. I don't know. The fact that you made a very impassioned plea for Daniel Cormier to not ever give Stipe a rematch makes me think, Kev, do we have to grant him an immediate rematch?
Absolutely not. Just like in the Stipe DC. On paper, sure, he's an obvious threat, but what a way for me to avoid that type of pitfall and continue my greatest over-under Kevin combatant dominance, much like DC. I'm right there. Right there.
Whack. This is all whack.
This is
whatever.
You brought up the analysis, kid. We're just telling you a cross application of it. That's all. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Kevin didn't even freaking watch most of the fight.
Which somehow didn't preclude me from beating your skinny, now semi-hefty ass. I was able to just roll right by this round. This was an easy one. I just Tim Spriggs the shit out of this. It was like, I got no problem.
Keith's at that point of now just complaining and being like, well, I mean, half the rounds, like, not even points anyway, and I was positionally better than you, so no big deal.
That's funny.
It's not like you got cold.
Whatever.
Like, this was real. This was, I Akbari hand fought you. Just smacked the shit out of him. I'm ready.
Well, let's do this. Keith, what can we help you plug? I mean, we've already done the Proven Nutrition, so you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
What are you doing next? What's coming up for you? Are you ending the year? Do we see you at No-Gi Worlds? Like what? Oh wait, we see you at Fight to Win.
Yeah. The only thing I have scheduled as of right now is Fight to Win, which I am definitely looking forward to, and I am considering ending the year there, but it is tempting to want to do No-Gi Worlds too. So I don't know. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm not positive. I have a number of dilemmas in deciding whether or not to do No-Gi Worlds, but I'll keep you guys posted. I don't know. We'll see.
Great plug. Any sponsors you want to give a big shout out to before we start to close things down? You guys already know Proven Nutrition. I have Miss Mary Jane CBD, Rollsome, BJJ, Toe Hold Flip Flops, Juiced Systems, and Average Joe's Gym. Those are my sponsors. So, that's very good.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Kevin, do you have any departing words for the person who lost to you?
Okay.
Don't look at it.
I don't know.
He was talking to me. Don't look at it as a loss, Keith. Look at it as a learning experience. Now you know not to come fuck with me on my own show. That'll get you in real trouble. Lesson learned.
This is the best. This is what you deserve for messaging me and being like, you need to bring people who know what they're talking about. And I was like, how about you? And you go, I know what I'm talking about. And then you still lose. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Whatever.
You're whatever. Good comeback.
Keith,
Hey.
no, seriously, we were proud of your performance this weekend. You were a fucking warrior at ADCC Trials. That was a nice job by you.
Thanks. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I'm glad that I got the experience. I'm super bummed that I didn't win, and that the more like the thing that I'm more like upset about is the fact that like I got to go through a whole nother 60-man bracket to get a qualifying spot. You know what I mean? So it is pretty. I don't want to say discouraging, but it is tough to think that I fought so hard this weekend, and that was probably like the best that I've ever felt like in a tournament, and the most like I just felt like that was my day, and I still didn't get it done. That sucks, but I love competing, and I am excited to do the West Coast Trials just to get more matches in general. But like I said, I would have loved to have gotten the spot yesterday. That would have been great.
There's something interesting to note. It is good.
Yeah, what's up?
There is something interesting to note, which is we have these discussions here and there. But as somebody who has won a few things, Kevin can also attest to this. He and his team did very well in speech. It's one of the things that at the time you don't necessarily recognize the accomplishment because you don't have distance. When you have distance, you'll really understand how impressive what you did was. The dauntingness that you're talking about, the fact that you didn't necessarily accomplish what you set out to do, overshadows the fact that what you did do, a lot of other people didn't. And that doesn't set in for a while. And of course it shouldn't, because you want to get to the ADCC, and that's a huge goal. But you know what's nice? There was somebody who said to me over the weekend, they said, Keith really made a name for himself this weekend. And I thought to myself, he did that a long time ago. You could have said that at you doing it at EBI and getting your shot and having a great performance there, and you not recognizing it then. You could say it with your impressive 67, 68 amount of fights or jiu-jitsu matches in a row that you had winning outcomes. And again, it might not make sense. But when you look back at a year for 2018, you will have a year that many other people really work to try to have and still don't have. So there's something to being the working man and the journeyman who really puts in all their time and starts to pull that away. But that's stuff for you to figure out in the future. Right now, you're going to go home, you're going to game plan. I've heard from training partners who are very afraid to roll with you, I guess, this week, who are like, why? No, I wanted him to win because now he's going to come back and he's going to murder everybody. And I thought to myself, the best thing that I learned about never getting your outcome, even when you really, really wanted it, and it hurts and it stings, is that journey that you take in order to become that person will make you even more skilled and more valuable. So that will make more sense to you probably in a couple years' time. But to everybody else who saw what you saw, there is a reason why. You held the 10th Planet banner very well, and you represented yourself well. So before you do anything to kind of get down on yourself, you better sure as shit remember whatever it is I just told you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Keith, I could not be more proud of you, my friend. I feel very bad for whoever's going up against you at, I guess, West Coast Trials. But I also know that what you should do this week is really, really listen to the people who are saying great things to you. And know that what they're saying is super valid. So I want you to remember that because you did lose it over under Kevin. And I think it's really important that we end the show by reminding you that. Because if you do get the bid, I will 100% say it's because right here, right now, you lost it over under Kevin, which gave you the motivation to get your bid at ADCC.
Okay, whatever. You can say whatever you want.
I mean, I'm going to, you idiot. You can't stop me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're very, very proud of the young Keith Krirkoian. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. We always love it when you're on, sir.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you guys for having me. It was really fun.
I hope Tom Brady's losing. I'm just going to say it. I know he's facing Aaron Rodgers and we've been podcasting. I just want to put it out in the ether that's what I hope is happening. Raph, this was a fantastic grappling weekend, and I'm curious, what do you think is the greater achievement? And I want to use DC as the example. Do you think it would have been cooler if DC had fought at ADCC and won versus winning in the octagon at UFC 230? Ignore the money. I'm just talking cooler.
Okay. I mean, I think DC would have won.
You think he would have won ADCC in the top? That would have been awesome, right?
I think he would have run the trials pretty easily because, again, we talk about the fact that for those 3 minutes when it's just kind of people feeling each other out, he would probably be putting pressure on. But I think the minute you have the opportunity to give a guy like that points for wrestling, I think he'd pinball wizard his way into about a 50-point game for him.
Pretty cool.
This is the weirdest part for us, though, Kevin, is whenever DC goes on his I'm amazing rants, I understand that's the current culture. And I always have to remind people, it's not like we think he's bad. He's really fucking good. And he's won Strikeforce. He's went to the Olympics. He is an amazing wrestler. He is a 2-division champ who also, cool your jets, dude. We don't need you to make the argument. You now have an extra moniker to your name, which is you've defended the belt in 2 different divisions, which is something that other champs cannot say. So for the love of God, DC, let us love you.
Let us love you. We're there. Mm-hmm. We're happy to do it. Look, his reputation is important, obviously, to him, and he will not be taking any nights off to ensure that reputation has a certain whatever he thinks it has, which is a cool feature. You and I, our only qualm, we love DC. Our only qualm is best ever. We're not quite ready to. We're not ready to call it. We're doing our best. We'll let you know. We'll let you know where we land and when. But Raph, that's going to do it for us tonight, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, let's do some shout outs. I will start. Right Club, what a night it was to do some live comedy for some people. And to Sloan's Lake Dental, Raph, I got Invisalign this week. Got to correct some stuff. Yeah, doing the whole Invisalign thing. Don't exactly know what it means yet, but we're working through it. And that'll do it for me outside of, I'm going to ping pong to the jiu-jitsu. Eric Coe fought last night, won via knee bar at the Fight to Win. Tess Neely fought, lost a close decision. Smashley fought, won. And Whip Bar fought. I haven't seen results yet. I'm still looking. I didn't have time to watch ADCC and that today. I had a moment where I was like, I have to prioritize something.
It's too much.
There's so much grappling. It's a great problem to have. But that'll do it for me in the shout outs.
All right, let's start here. Valley Martial Arts Center.
VMAC.
Great training. Very excited to get back to training tomorrow. It's been a lot of grappling. When you talk a lot about grappling, you immediately want to get back to actually training said grappling. So there's that. All right, so there's that one. Let's do LA Jiu-Jitsu Club.
LAJJC.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. and Tuesday, Thursdays at 11:30. You guys want to be there for some great training. I also feel it is appropriate to thank everybody who was watching the Grappling Hour 8-hour stream that we did yesterday, because here's the fun part. You guys could be a million other places, but the fact that you choose to stick around and listen to me both yell at my dog live on the air, get packages from Luda Gear, and at the same time give you analysis like Damon and Keith had a match together, which apparently they did not. Could have fooled me. I mean, I know in the future I was like, wait, I think that Keith actually went up against somebody else. Yeah, then out there saying that all checks out. Oops, sorry. But I was really pleased to see that so many people chimed in, shared the stream. Like I said, on the next episode of Grappling Hour, we are getting a couple of the guys who medaled. So it's very likely you're going to see a Tim Spriggs. Okay. It is very likely you'll see a Satava. And, I mean, I won't say any more, but I mean, I think you guys know who the people who won. So there is that. And we'll see. We'll see who else is coming in on the show this week. But that'll be sometime Tuesday. We're looking to figure out the time. You can figure out what time it will be by keeping a good eye at Grappling Hour on all of our social media. That's YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook, on all of those major platforms. And I want to say a nice big shout out to our good friend, Senor John Evans, who, by the way, everybody, is back in town. Ooh. I just saw him before we got on the broadcast here today, and I have great news. If you guys are looking to up and amplify your training, please, 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 please take advantage of John. He has just told me he has opened up his private and seminar, so he's doing both small and group privates as well. So like individual and for groups and seminars. And this is the thing that I was really getting excited for. And I might actually take him up on it without actually doing it. But he's doing like ADCC prep for individuals.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm like all about that. I was like, yeah, I don't really want to compete. But Kev, little background on this. If they don't fucking credential me, I think my backup plan is to go compete, lose real quickly, and then grab a microphone and be like, well, I'm down here now.
Damn right.
The only problem with it is I started thinking about it. I was like, that's a great plan, Raph. Because I even thought about it. I was like, I should go up to the person who beat me and goes, how much of a problem was I not?
Yeah.
And do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then I also immediately realized, I was like, wait, I would have to pay to compete. I don't really want to do that, but it would be the best gag of all time.
That'd be pretty good.
So, but having said that, independent of any of that, I was telling John, I was like, no, that really sounds like great training. Yeah, I want to get on that. He's like, oh, you can be an ADCC? Under no circumstances, no.
Sober up, John.
Jesus Christ, John. Slow your roll, kid. So, anyway, that's what's happening over on that side. And you know, Kev, I think that will do it for me as
That'll
well.
do it for us tonight here at Verbal Tap. I am Kevin. Thank you for listening.
Good night and good fight.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...